YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with some more NFL free agency predictions. This is our second video. There's definitely more to come. We'll have signing grades throughout free agency as well. Bunch of those videos. Recent trades video, we got you guys covered. In this one, it's kind of random free agents, guys, that I have predictions for right now, so it's not in any specific order, but excited for more of these videos to come. Follow us on Twitter for the instant breaking news and my instant takes. A lot of information there. Links pinned in the comments for that. Subscribe. We're almost at 100K. We much appreciate it if you help us out. Justin Simmons, a new big-time free agent after he was surprisingly released by the Broncos. Got a few of those guys that were recently cut in this video. I was thinking that the Eagles could trade for him. Now that he's available, I'm going to stick with my original gut and say the Philadelphia Eagles as my prediction, but man, there's some teams I really like. I mean, all of the teams I listed I really like, but those top three, Eagles, Jags, Packers, it's tough not having the Packers like logo up there because I was very close to putting them in that second spot. They're definitely looking for a safety. I mean, anyone looking for a safety, a playmaking safety, Justin Simmons has got to be intriguing, to use. So, but the Eagles badly need to start valuing safeties. I think they do that. They bring in Vic Fangio, who will value a single high free safety. Justin Simmons, one of the best in football at exactly that. He happened to play for Vic Fangio and been playing at a high level for Vic Fangio when he was in Denver a few seasons ago. So Eagles have some spending money. If they move on from Reddick, they have more spending money. I don't think he's going to cost an insane amount because the safety market's kind of crashing a little bit unless you're this crazy versatile. Everyone's looking for another Kyle Hamilton, what they're looking for. So I like the Eagles, like the Jags a lot as well. They need safety help pretty bad. They need more of a playmaker. Not necessarily more, even though Simmons is a playmaker. They need more of like a coverage guy. Like their safeties were, and Cisco can become that, but their safeties where they had them a lot or in the box a lot, or just, manning up with guys down there or blitzing Rayshon Jenkins, who they released. Now they bring in Ryan Nielsen, who was with the Falcons, and his first year with the Falcons, his first offseason, they went out and got Jesse Bates, a very similar style free safety, some of the best playmakers in football. So he can do the same thing with Jacksonville, and they cleared a lot of money. So that's why it's so interesting, because the way I talk about Jacksonville, Justin Simmons, is like, that's got to be the prediction. But the way you talk about the Eagles with Justin Simmons, it's like, that's got to be the prediction. So if he was going to get traded, I thought the Eagles. So I'm going to stick with that. But those are some good ones. The Packers are a legit one as well. And some other teams that could use a legit safety I listed as well. But I like those top three a lot. Another big-time player that was cut, Tre'Davious White, he does have major durability concerns, and yeah, he's not once what he was. He once was an elite corner, and it's not really because he's aging or anything. It's just the injuries caught up to him, But the Bills had to make a tough choice, move on from him. They didn't really want to, but he keeps getting hurt, and they were desperate for cap space. I like the Steelers a lot. Like this one, these guys just got cut, and I'm already making predictions and videos. I feel pretty good about some of these. Like the Steelers make a lot of sense for Tre'Davious White. A lot of cover, too, in Buffalo. That's what he's best at. Steelers really kind of geared to doing more of that last year. That's what Joey Porter Jr. fits a lot. I said that while he was at Penn State. I'm saying it while he's in Pittsburgh last year. It just makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and they like their veteran guys, to pair with the younger guys. It feels like a Mike Tomlin type guy. I just love the fit. I'm going to go, and they could try to trade for Snead. I love the fit there, too. That's a little bit more of a splash move, obviously. Lions are the next pick. The Lions I'm going to be talking about them a lot when it comes to these corners. They're going to be in on them, whether it's trade or signing free agents. I don't really plan on them going into the first round of the draft and being like, we better get a starting corner. I think they want to have that done. By that point, because it's a big thing kind of holding them back from being maybe the team to beat, and they're already up there. I like the fit with the Vikings. They ran a bit of cover two under Brian Flores last year, which was a little surprising, but they did. They could use that veteran guy, and there the Niners definitely going to be interested in the kind of cheaper veterans. Jags could use a corner. And the Giants, we'll see what Shane Bowen would like to run, but I think he kind of could fit his defense, kind of basing one off when he was in Tennessee. Shane Bowen, that is. But I just love that Steelers fit. It makes a lot of sense. So sometimes I always know who the best fit is, but in terms of scheme and what teams are looking for, what they can spend. But it doesn't mean they always happen. But that one I feel pretty good about the fit. We'll see. Another corner that was recently released that had a pretty good year for Jacksonville. I mean, he would give up yards, but he would make big plays. He was really solid for the Rams. I'm going to go with him going back with the Rams after being cut by Jacksonville. I know they don't have Raheem Morris anymore, but they signed hired an in-house guy. They're going to run a similar defense where, a lot of cover 4. Darius Williams is definitely better in cover 4 than man coverage. So that makes a lot of sense there. Raheem Morris is with Atlanta. Heard they're looking for another corner. They have a big-time one in A.J. Terrell. Maybe they don't want to go too crazy on the spending. Maybe they will. I don't think Darius Williams is going to be overly crazy expensive. He's not going to be very cheap, like super cheap. But so the Rams and the Falcons just make the most sense. Do like the Lions. They ran a bit of cover 4, but they do like running a lot of man coverage as well. Dolphins could pair him back up with Jalen Ramsey, and they're not going to be huge spenders, so maybe he might be a little bit cheaper. I think the Raiders, a decent fit. 49ers, I more so like the top 4 there. I really like the Rams and the Falcons for Darius Williams. So another guy that just got cut that I'm already making predictions for. Kendall Fuller, solid corner. The Commanders' defense was underwhelming, but he was a pretty solid part to it. Another zone corner, but experience in pretty much any coverage. Like a veteran corner that isn't losing a step. He might be gaining a step, actually. I mean, I don't think he's going to get better from where he was this year, but it just feels like he's still playing some really good ball, maybe a little bit better this past year than he was in the past, even though the rest of the Commanders were kind of struggling, besides some other pieces here and there. But I like the Lions. Lions need a veteran corner in there. Again, I think he's best in cover 4, but he's a veteran. He's experienced in all types of coverages, but the Lions do try to run a bit, when they go zone, it seems like cover 4 a bit, at least what they're trying to do. Most of the year last year, they were just running too much man. It was like so obvious, and then they kind of, playoffs, they played a little bit better. I know they blew that comeback, and they were starting to mix it up. I saw a lot more cover 4 out there. They were mixing it up, cover everything, every type of coverage it felt like. But I like Fuller. I like Fuller as a great fit. There's the Jags again looking for a corner. I think he'll fit Ryan Nielsen's defense. Niners, the Bills would love to have Fuller. They were always a cover 2 team. They tried to shift that a little bit more last year. They tried to run a little bit more. They added some man. They added some cover 4. They kind of ultimately went back to more cover 2 because why? Because they had the players that fit that, and they were kind of stuck with those players. Now they're moving on from some of those players. So I do like the fit. Definitely would fit Jonathan Gannon's defense with the Cardinals. Would they like somebody younger? Would fit the Rams. Again, that's another. I almost put the Rams in that second spot because that's a heavy cover 4 team. I think it's kind of go big, like huge, or go home with them, or add Darius Williams, a familiar face. Falcons, but really like the Lions, the Jags, and my next one would say the Rams, but I do like the Bills a lot. Just can they afford him? He might get paid more than you think there. Chidobe Awuzie, I really love the fit with the Colts. Really love it because one of my favorite things about the Bengals defense, especially in playoff time, excuse me, was that they really mixed up their coverages. Like you didn't know what they were going to be in. They were so unpredictable. And Awuzie was good at that. Like he's he's not the best corner on the planet, but if you factor in every single coverage and you take away the guys that just can't run certain coverages, and then rank the guys that can run all the above, like he's up there. Like he's good. He's physical too. He'll come up and hit you. But what is he best in my opinion, based on what I watch? Cover 3 and man coverage. Gus Bradley special, loves his cover 3. In the last 2 years, he's actually been running a bit more, wanting to run a bit more man in his defense. The Colts badly need corners. They have some spending money. Man, Awuzie he's got some durability concerns, though. That's the issue. If he didn't have that, he'd be in line for a big payday because he is very good. He's underrated because people really, when they talk about corners, they don't really factor in what coverages are running. Like he's really good if he's healthy. Titans, I like the Titans for him as well. With that defense, it's going to be like a Ravens type defense, who they mix it up a ton. I like that fit as well. Cardinals, Jags, Lions, Texans make sense, and that DeMeco Ryans defense, and back to the Bengals is most certainly a possibility with the available cap space that they have. But I really like those. It seems like I like the AFC South teams I just noticed for Chidobe Awuzie. I really like the Colts. My favorite fit. If I had to pick like 10 of my favorite absolute fits, like ones that not that I'm really necessarily predicting to happen, but just feel right, it would probably be up there for Awuzie and the Colts. So just schematically makes a lot of sense there. Next, we got Gino Stone, who was pretty productive for a guy that had somewhat limited snaps for the Ravens. I mean, because they have Kyle Hamilton, they have Marcus Williams, in that defense. So he was pretty damn productive in terms of the playmaking skills, out there, the production, I guess, in that category for a guy that didn't play every single snap. But yeah, he definitely fit this year's Ravens defense more than the past, because when he was at Iowa, it was like all zone coverage. Like, could this guy be part of man? And then he went to the Ravens, and they ran a lot of man coverage when he went there, so it was odd. But they mixed it up a lot more this year, and he played pretty well. Obviously, that's a defense that puts the safeties in a good position to thrive. Really any defender in that Mike Macdonald defense. So the question is a little scary with Gino Stone. Like, he's young. He was good last year. It depends on the price. Like, he is either going to be like a gem like signing, or he's going to be overpaid just based off production in a defense that gets the most out of you. So he's a little, where is he going to be? It depends on the price. But Mike Macdonald is in Seattle. Seattle just cut both their safeties. It makes a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense. I don't think he'll be overly expensive. The Titans need a safety as well. And then they're going to try to run that similar type defense based on the new group they brought in, new staff they brought in. But so I could definitely see the Titans. I like the Titans a lot for a lot of guys. Not that they're necessarily my prediction, next guess here, but they have a lot of spending money, so they might do some damage on some of these guys. Eagles make a lot of sense. The Jags again. There's the Packers again. Packers make a lot of sense. In the Bills, it depends on Stone's price. Because I could see him being underpaid or overpaid. I don't think there's an in between. I really don't. But if he ends up being cheaper, that's a good option for the Bills there, because I believe they want to stick with zone coverage. They just don't want to be as like cover two, shell coverage nonstop, But it makes a lot of sense for Seattle and Tennessee. Those two with the connections there make a lot of sense. Patrick Queen, here we go again. Seahawks, another Raven to the Seahawks. And the Seahawks need a lot. They need linebackers pretty bad right now. Their current linebackers are free agents. It's a spot they want to upgrade based off last year anyways. They bring in Mike Macdonald. He values the inside linebacker position as much as any. Like, you need good linebackers in that defense, plain and simple. You need good linebackers. Maybe more than one, obviously. More than one really good one. He also coached Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen had his best year of his career last year under Mike Macdonald. It makes a ton of sense. The Seahawks are clearing for something, things that are important to Mike Macdonald. This is important to him. It makes a lot of sense. Eagles, Vic Fangio, it's pretty important to have a stud inside linebacker in that scheme as well. Eagles definitely need to start valuing the linebacker position more. It's been underwhelming is an understatement. Having those guys in coverage last year were just unbelievably terrible. Like, it was brutal. So that's why I'm watching for the Eagles. They're not, they're going to be smart with their money, but they want to get back on track. So they're not going to be afraid to make their team better, obviously. Titans, Texans, other teams looking for linebackers. Raiders, I think the Rams and the Vikings more the wild cards there. Raiders, on paper, their linebackers were awful last year. They ended up playing better than expected. Spillane mainly being one of them. So where are they going to be at? Like, we don't need to value this position. Like, we're going to make them play good, or are we going to go and get a stud linebacker and make them play elite level? Because we get more out of our linebackers. So curious to see where they're at with that. Because on paper, not great, but they play better than how it looks on paper. Because I think Patrick Graham is a very good defensive coach. I've always said that. Darnell Mooney. I like the Falcons. Here's the Titans again. Titans have a lot of needs, and they have a lot of cap space, so they're going to be in on some of these guys. I like it's kind of a Titans video. I have a lot of fits in this video for them. But, yeah, those are my main two. Like, there's other legit landing spots. I listed them. I heard some rumblings about the Chiefs, so I could see that. I really, really, really like the Falcons and the Titans for Darnell Mooney. And maybe he goes somewhere that I didn't even list. That's definitely possible for a lot of these guys. But Falcons and Titans, what I really like here. I heard the Titans actually could be interested. They actually have his former receiver coach on the staff. That's interesting. They need receivers in general, but it's a guy that can play in the slot. They really need that. Also could play outside, but a guy that could definitely dominate the slot. I think his best football is ahead of him. I loved him as a prospect, and he was really good right away. He just didn't mesh well with Justin Fields, so maybe just needs a new place. That's why I don't think he goes back to the Bears, but at the same time, they're going to move on from Justin Fields. So I guess I could have put the Bears on here. But so I definitely can see the Titans. The Falcons, they have the guy who drafted Darnell Mooney and Ryan Pace on the staff there. And they need a slot receiver. They have Drake London, who's going to be a stud, obviously, a rising star, is an outside receiver for sure. And Kyle Pitts is a tight end / big body outside receiver. And you can put him in the slot here and there, but that's not like your true slot receiver. And they bring in the Rams staff, basically. Zach Robinson, the offense coordinator. I mean, who thrived? What receivers thrived in that Rams offense? Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, two guys that are shifty and can play in the slot at a pretty high level. So I think Darnell Mooney makes a lot of sense for what they're looking for many reasons. So I haven't heard anything about that. It's just a feeling of mine. So I'm going to go Falcons, second guess Titans. Titans would be a pretty good prediction. Sticking with the Titans, a lot of Titans in this video. Tyler Boyd, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they need a receiver. We talked about they need specifically a slot receiver. Tyler Boyd, if you combine the last like 5 to 8, whatever, how long has Tyler Boyd been in the league? Who's been one of the more consistent, tough slot receivers? I mean, there's been guys better, like have elite seasons, but if you put all the years together, maybe Tyler Boyd, like he's a stud in the slot. He's a stud after the catch. Callahan with the Tennessee Titans, he coached them in Cincinnati. They need a slot receiver. They have a lot of spending money. He's not going to be overly expensive. It just makes too much sense. Like I have to predict Boyd to the Titans, right? Heard the Jets could be interested in him. Maybe a pretty good target for Aaron Rodgers. Falcons, Broncos, Saints, and Ravens are teams that I could see as well. I really like the Titans for him. There's other teams that need receivers, but I think those teams are kind of looking for an outside receiver. He's going to play a lot in the slot. Tyler Boyd. Next, another one for the Titans here. I think we're going to be done after this. We'll see. Mekhi Becton feels like a good one for Callahan's offensive line, like getting the most out of these upside guys. Remember, Becton, he's been injured and he's struggled. But remember, go back to the draft. Like why he was like soaring up boards from the start of the process to the end, and why? It's because you can see the potential, not because he's great right now, but you can see the freakish upside. So his best ball, as long as he's healthy, is ahead of him. And perfect situation going to one or better, maybe probably the best offensive line coach in football with Callahan there in Tennessee. So I think that makes a lot of sense to put him at either tackle spot, but right tackle. The Patriots, and they just signed yesterday Okafor, so maybe does that rule them out? But I could see the Patriots as well. Back to the Jets, Ravens, Raiders, Bengals, and Rams are teams I could see as well there for Mekhi Becton. Jonah Jackson, got a feeling about the Giants for Jonah Jackson. They're definitely looking for guard help. They need it badly. They could use a couple guards really. Because I would imagine they keep Evan Neal at tackle, but we'll see. Jonah Jackson seems like a really good option for Brian Daboll's offense. I worry about an overpay when it comes to Jackson, though, because I heard the guards could get overpaid, and because Jonah Jackson was really good in Detroit. That Detroit offensive line was coached so well, and the tackles in the center, best center in football, and Penei Sewell was the best tackle in football, Ragnar the best center in football this year. They really elevated the unit, and when Jackson came out, it didn't seem like a giant difference, but he is good. He's definitely very solid, and he deserves some be 100% to be a starter and to be paid like an above-average starter. I just worry about some of these guards getting overpaid. But I got a feeling with the Giants, I think it's a really good fit. But the Commanders, an NFC East rival, could be after him as well. They badly need guard help, left guard specifically. Pretty solid fit. I'd watch out. They have some spending money as well. Commanders are tough because they're going to make moves. Dan Quinn doesn't want this to be a lengthy rebuild. It's just tough to. Some guys I just have feel for the fit, with them. So they're gonna make moves. Tough. I have one for them actually in this video, but they're a little tough. Jets, Ravens, maybe the Lions, and the Bucks. I do like the Bucks as well. But Giants and Commanders. Watch out for those guys with one of the better guards. I think there are better guards that will have different videos, but one of the better guards in free agency there. And next we got Dorsey Armstrong. I have going to the Commanders. It makes a lot of sense. He was a backup for the Cowboys when he played. He was very solid. I liked him a lot out of Kansas too, and it felt like he really got going a couple years ago. So maybe deserving of being a starter. The Commanders need 2 starting defensive ends. They can go crazy with one of them, like trade or spending wise, and they can get Dorrance Armstrong to pair with him, and we know he fits Dan Quinn's defense. It just makes a lot of sense. Like, it feels like you have to predict the Commanders when it comes to Dorrance Armstrong. I go Cardinals next. Jonathan Gannon, defensive end. It feels right. Could go back to the Cowboys. Bears. I actually originally had the Bears in the Cardinals spot, but they think it would maybe go a little bit bigger, perhaps, because it's kind of like another DeMarcus Walker, having a guy like that in there. Bills, again, the Bills won't be able to be huge spenders, but this is a guy that I think fits, and he won't be overly expensive. Same thing with the Niners. I think a good fit, won't be overly expensive because they can't be huge spenders. But the Commanders make a ton of sense for Dorrance Armstrong. Tyron Smith, I'm going to go with the Jets. It's tough because the Jets, it kind of fits in with the Jets. Durability concerns in terms of the offensive line. So the same thing could be if they get David Bakhtiari too, or one or the other. But that's kind of my feeling right now, I guess. Yeah, Bakhtiari could change things. Could he end up back with Rodgers? Some buzz about the Patriots. Would they rather go younger? It doesn't sound like he's going to go back to the Cowboys. We'll see. The Chiefs could be sneaky. Commanders, do they go younger? Tennessee and the Rams could be a little sneaky as well. Could the Jets go Bakhtiari? Did I bump the Commanders up? That would be another team I could bump up there. He goes to a division rival. It's going to be an interesting one. How much he gets paid. I'm guessing, because the report that he won't be back most likely won't be back with the Cowboys kind of means he's going to get, because they would like to have him back. It kind of means he would probably be getting a lot of money, because the Cowboys don't have a ton of spending money. It's an overspend candidate here. I'd be very careful. The Jets are pretty desperate here, though, so that is why they are my prediction. Speaking of the Jets, Bryce Huff, their pass rusher. They have a number of pass rushers. He was very solid this past year. He actually didn't, based on his production, you'd think he would have played more snaps. He did play a lot of snaps, but you think he'd play more. So they didn't really feel as he was like an every down guy for them at all, like kind of a pass rush specialist for them. So I actually think other teams will value him more than the Jets. I could be wrong. He could go back to the Jets. I was originally predicting the Giants. I'm predicting the Giants to have an interesting free agency, losing some key guys, gaining some key guys. Originally to go Giants. It seems like a really good fit. They might want more of a lengthier guy, though. We'll see. But I was originally going with the Giants, but I like the Bucks. I'm kind of remembering that the Bucks got rid of Shaq Barrett. It was a little surprising. This seems like a younger Shaq Barrett clone to me, absolute clone. And they have Yaya Diaby, who I like a lot. But is that an every down guy? I think he could be. And they have Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, he's solid, has upside, been a little underwhelming maybe. They definitely need somebody else. To me, this is a Todd Bowles guy. This is a younger Shaq Barrett clone here. So I'm going to go with the Bucks. Kind of like just a gut feeling there. Haven't heard anything about that. A lot of teams, Cardinals, Rams, Falcons, those teams specifically, Seahawks, Texans, and Jets. I think going back to Jets possibilities. So I do like a lot of fits for Bryce Huff. It's kind of a beware one again because the Jets didn't play him like starter snaps, like full snaps for a reason. Like you could say, well, he was that productive with those snaps. Like what if he gets the full load snaps? I understand the point, but there's a reason maybe he isn't getting that full load. I mean, they do have other options out there. The Jets do, but so it's kind of beware with that one. It could be a little bit. He's going to get paid. He's a productive pass rusher that is young as upside, but it's going to be a little risky, pretty much, no matter what he gets here. But it doesn't mean I'm against it. Jonathan Greenard, I kind of went bold. I think bold on this one with the Bears, and I think it's bold because the Bears already valued the other side of the edge duo a lot. They spent huge money on Montez Sweat. They traded a second-round pick for him, too. So second plus the money they spent, that's where they valued him, but mainly focus on the money. So I think if you are going to spend a lot at, like, the same position twice, edge could be it. Edge, receiver, those are the ones, right? Because it's that important. So I could see it. The issue, why I think it's bold is because, they already spent big on Montez Sweat. Are they going to draft a stud to kind of pair with them and try to create an elite duo? I do really like the fit. Just feels like an Eberflus defensive end. And when they added Sweat, it elevated the defense a bit. And it felt like when Eberflus was in Indy, it felt like, good defense, really good defense all the time because he's a good coach. He's got some good players, smart players. Just missing that, one more defensive end And now that he did it with Sweat, maybe they're going to go, hey, if we get another one, this defense could be elite. So I do like the fit, but they could say, hey, we already spent so much money at this position. They very easily could do this. We spent so much money at this position. Let's focus on everything else. We're going to get another defensive end. We're just not going to put a lot of money into it, even if we're trying to get a good one. So that's why I do think it's a little bold, but kind of a feeling that they actually value it. They double down on the edge position and go all out to make that defense that much better, because it's going to help the Montez Sweat, the value they put into him, investment. That's what I was trying. I couldn't think of the word investment. Even better, it helps it work even more, like getting him some help on the opposite side, in my opinion. So the Texans want him back. I keep seeing that. Like, Texans want him back. But if the price is right, I think somebody might outbid. There's another one. I said Bryce Huff, beware. Beware with the price, because I guess he didn't play the full snaps, and the Texans kind of rotate guys a bit too. Another candidate to maybe get overpaid here in Greenard. So I think the Texans kind of know, like, hey, we make D'Amico Ryans and company. We make guys good at that position. We get the most. They're good players, but we get the most out of them. So let's not overspend. And 2 years ago, Greenard wasn't that great. 3 years ago, he was pretty damn good. It's like some of those inconsistent pass rushers. There's a lot of those guys. Like, you want more of the consistent ones, but he was a monster last year. I do think he fits the Bears defense, but I think somebody overpays maybe and outbids the Texans. Commanders definitely need a D-end, and they're right up there with these teams. Cardinals, Lions, Colts, and Browns, and they think he fits those teams as well. And one more, I'm going to go Russ to the Steelers. They're already lining up a visit there. That's kind of was my prediction before that point. Anyways, just seems like a pairing for Kenny Pickett there with that Arthur Smith offense. But the Vikings if they miss on Kirk Cousins and miss on Baker, which I'm expecting them to miss on Baker, I think it'll go back to the Bucs. But then, they'd be like, all right, Russ, like, you're going to come here and start with a good team, some good weapons, and they might swoop in and take them. And maybe the Vikings don't have interest in them at all, but they might take them. If the Falcons miss on a few guys, same situation. Patriots looking for like a bridge or a veteran guy. Oh, maybe the Giants, who knows? If the Bucs, they're only there if they miss on Baker. So, Russ could sign with the Steelers at any given time right now, too, or maybe he'll wait. I think he should wait. I think he needs to wait till other teams get desperate. Like, somebody's going to be desperate. Like, somebody's going to miss. Like, if the Vikings get Cousins and Baker goes to the Bucs, the Falcons are, Fields or Wilson. If the Vikings don't get Cousins, the Falcons get Cousins, Baker goes back to the Bucs, the Vikings need somebody. They might be desperate. So somebody's going to be desperate. Somebody, for quarterbacks, experienced quarterbacks, somebody's, I know he's declining. He declined pretty rapidly, but he could be better, in other. I think he'd play better on the Steelers or Vikings or Falcons than he did with the Broncos last year. I think that for sure. It won't be a major upgrade. It doesn't really work like that, or based on how he played last year. But I do think it'd be better. But that'll do it. We had a lot of free agents in this video. Other videos to come. Now I'm kind of just doing it on who I have predictions, like who I'm most confident with predictions about. Other guys, I'm still thinking between a few other teams, so that's why we're waiting here. But check out the other video just like this that's up. There's a trade video like this up as well. We have draft videos up. Join us for our free agency signings next week. Help us get to 100K. Be much, much appreciated. Check out our sponsors, GLD Shop, Liquid IV, code GOAT. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.